Sound check. Sound check.
Okay, we are starting at 2 o'clock after like 3 minutes. So everybody who is interested, please come in.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So we're going to start our presentation, but we're going to talk about visualizing traffic flow information gathered from RouterOS using NTOPNG. So, but before we're going to start, let me introduce myself. I'm Cliff Richard Perez. I'm currently a junior network administrator at Foundation University Dumaguete, and I am also a CCNA, MTCNA, MTCRE, and MTCAT with 4 years practical experience in the field of ICT. So I will not talk a lot about myself, so if ever you want to know me more, just connect us to LinkedIn. So since we are going to talk about visualizing the traffic information using NTOP and G, let us discuss first what is NTOP, NTOP and G. So anyone here knows what is NTOP or NTOP and G? NTOP and G is a successor of the original NTOP. So before it's known as NTOP. So currently it is called NTOP and G for the next generation. So, and aside from that, it is a web-based traffic analysis system. So meaning to say, you do not need to install an application on your computer in order to see the traffic that is being collected. by the NTOPNG. So it's a web-based. And also it's a high-speed network drivers, and it can record traffic from network. And since it can record traffic to network, it can also replay recorded traffic to the network. NTOPNG is available in dual license. We have a community edition, which is a open source, no need to pay for it. And then we have a pro version, or what we call the commercial edition. So what is NTOPNG can do for us as a network administrator? NTOP can collect a network traffic. What kind of network traffic are we talking about? It involves IP address, a port, and even a protocol. And NTOPNG can identify more than 200 layer 7 protocol. So can we imagine that, how kung gaano karami na protocol that NTOPNG can identify. And it also can identify the throughput and the AS number, and also a network real-time statistic. So you can be able to see the actual traffic on your network in real time. And it also can sort an IP traffic based on a different criteria, the port that they are using, the protocol, and etc., etc. And it has a dynamic subnet matrix. So you can be able to see also the source and the destination, who's talking to. So malalaman natin yung lahat. And it has a historical data collection. So we need also a database and a backend for this one. So since we all have an idea what is NTOP, what also we need to know is we also need an nProbe. So what is nProbe? nProbe is a flow collector. It feeds traffic information to NTOPNG. So meaning to say, traffic that being gathered at the RouterOS will pass first to nProbe. And then the NTOP will going to collect to analyze all the traffic that being gathered to the nProbe. And nProbe also can run into separate. So doesn't mean that you install the NTOP, you have also the nProbe installed already. No, but you need to install separately the nProbe. nProbe can be installed in a multiple remote site. For example, if you have a multiple remote site that you are taking care of, you can install an nProbe there and channel all the traffic from nProbe to your remote site to your NTOP. And it can also be installed in the same host where the NTOPNG is being installed. So we have two choices for this. And it can also receive traffic flow information from network device either through NetFlow. So all the traffic that is being collected by the nProbe is passed through it's using a NetFlow protocol. So can store information to the database backend for historical recording. So if you want to record the traffic, the information, the data, you need a database on the back of the NTOP. So since we all have an idea right now what is the NTOPNG and nProbe, so how can we going to implement this using the RouterOS? But anyway, before that, nProbe also using 0MQ protocol to connect to NTOPNG, that data messaging protocol that they are using. So I think you all know that under IP traffic flow, you can see that the RouterOS support NetFlow version 5 and version 9 protocol. It can also support version 1, but today we are going to discuss only version 5 and version 9. So maybe you want to ask something for me. What is the difference between version 5 and version 9? Yeah, what is the difference? What is the difference between this one? Between these two? It's kind of hard to explain, but I think there is one word to define the difference between these two. For version. Are you serious? No, it's not a for version. But, okay, let's go straight to the topic. The NetFlow version 5 only collect flow at ingress or inbound traffic only. So traffic that being from inbound traffic only. That's the only traffic that is being collected by NetFlow version 5. And also, it is restricted to IPv4 flow only. But how about the NetFlow version 9? NetFlow version 9 collect flow at ingress, inbound, and at the same time at the egress. So bidirectional. So that's why you can either identify what is the source and the destination. And it can also collect the traffic from IPv6, MPLS, and even IPv4 with BGP next hop. So to have an overview how the NTOP and nProbe and the RouterOS will going to communicate, let's have a diagram. Yeah. Here, nakita nyo lang? Okay lang, no? Here, we have two different network, two different LAN 1 and LAN 2. And all the traffic that is being generated by the LAN is passing through the router through the internet. But on the top of that, we have a connected separate network or management network. We can say the management network where the server is being located also. And on that server, in this scenario, we installed a CentOS, CentOS 7. So on the top of the CentOS 7, we installed the NTOP. There, NTOP, and at the same time, we installed the nProbe on the same host. So we're not installing the nProbe on the separate machine, which we can do. But in our scenario, we installed the nProbe on the same machine. And then, the router, the traffic that being gathered here by the RouterOS, we're going to submit here to nProbe using UDP. And it's also, we use the port 9000. And when the traffic is being stored here, the NTOPNG, we're going to connect to nProbe to analyze all the traffic that is being collected through nProbe. And the NTOP, we're going to connect through port 556 TCP. And with this scenario, the NTOP is using ZMQ protocol in order to messaging protocol in order to connect to nProbe. And then that's the time that when we are going to access the NTOP at the web using port 3000, we can now be able to see the traffic on it. So how, maybe you want to ask me also, how we are going to install the NTOP to our server. So right now, since in our scenario we are using CentOS 7, so what you need to do is to install the extra packages. And then after you install the extra packages, you also need to install the custom repository under the /etc yum.repos.d. And you need to make sure that you're going to install the zero MQ that we are talking about kaganina. And then after that, you're going to execute this command, yum array 0mq3, to make sure that it will not be able to conflict with the 0mq4 that we're going to install, and yum clean all and update. And then you're going to install the nProbe, ntop and ntop data. And then after that, under the ntop, we need to do some configuration on the ntop side. And then under the etc NTOPNG and NTOPNG.config, you need to add this. You are telling that the nProbe need to connect through this host. We're using the loopback address since we install the nProbe on the same machine. We are telling the ntop to connect to the nProbe using this port 556. And then after that, we are going also to add some configuration at the nProbe. Under etc NTOPNG nProbe the interface and then the config, you are going to tell to nProbe that they are going to use the ZMQ in order to connect to ntop. And then the port that that we are going to use in order to connect to the router, the NetFlow. And then that's it. And here is some configuration also that we need to do on the router end. And under the IP traffic flow, you can see that there is under the traffic flow setting, you are going to enable it and then select all the interface that you want to collect all the traffic that you want to be able to see it on the ntop. And then cache entry. This is the size of the flow that that we're going to pass every time to nProbe. So when the RouterOS collect that that size, a specific size, it will going to pass to the nProbe using the NetFlow. Using the version that you want to use. But in our scenario, we are using the version 9. And then point it to the IP of the nProbe. So that too, because in our previous diagram, we are using the .2 IP in our server. And after that, you need to start the NTOPNG and then the nProbe, and then you can now be able to connect to the ntop using the IP and then the port 3000. So what we can see in the at the ntop, here's the screenshot that we made. This is the dashboard of the Pro version, the one that I talking about, the Pro version. And then here is some active flow connection that we can see. There is maybe you have noticed that it is also indicated here the application. And most of they are using the Apple, and then SSL, and even the layer 7 protocol is being identified also. And also the client host name. And then under the network, you can also see how many active hosts at that specific network. Since when, and then the throughput, and then the traffic that being generated. And then here, under all hosts, you can see the NTOP also identify which the IP is being under the local or in the remote. And also the geomap, and here the probe interface. You can also see that you can, if you want to review the how many traffic that being generated in the past day, so you can also do that into the NTOP. And also here at the host overview of our monitoring system, another the OMD, and here you can also see the autonomous system, the AS number, the host, and the name of the autonomous system number. This is the traffic graph overview of a host, and then the protocol that is usually being used. And also, you can see the top peers. You can also see the bidirectional. This is what we are talking. We can see the ingress and the egress point, ingress traffic for this one. And same as here. And daghang salamat. So we're done. So it's also time for the Q&A. So feel free to ask questions, because I'm gonna pass that question to my head and let him answer you. I'm the nProbe, and he's the nTOP. No, just ask some question if you want. Kung may mga nalilito ba? No, you're not counted. We're allies, huh? So, any question? Actually, I have 45 minutes, so I already accommodate 19 minutes. So we have a lot of time to entertain you. Yeah, feel free to ask questions. Oh, at the back.
Hello.
At the back of you, sir.
Yeah, I have a question. What's CentOS? What is CentOS?
Yeah, what is CentOS, by the way?
What is that?
Yeah, what is CentOS?
Yeah, what is CentOS?
You're giving me a hard time, sir, huh?
It's just for you guys if you wonder. It's a Linux operating system.
Yeah.
Okay, just
by
if
the way,
you wonder.
He's my boss. That's why I'm.
No, that's not true. I would never do that.
So that's why I'm not answering him. Right. But by the way, at your box, sir, there's someone want to ask a question.
Hello, sir. Sorry. Hello, sir. In NTOPNG, do we need to configure it to? Do we need to configure all the protocols so NTOPNG can detect all of the protocols that we see in the screenshot?
Thank you for the very nice question. Actually, no. When you are done, the previous configuration that I have discussed, that's all what you need to do. And after that, you're ready and good to go. All the protocol will being detected, and so on and so forth. That's how easy the NTOP. Sir.
Go in at the beginning, but is there 3 virtual machines inside the server?
No, actually, in our scenario, we didn't install a virtual machine. So we installed the CentOS on the server, and on the top of the server, we installed the application that the NTOP and the nProbe.
Oh, okay.
It's a separate application.
And also the web server.
No need to install the web server, because when you have noticed, I didn't even include to the slide that you need to start the HTTPD blah 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 like that. Because when you install the NTOP, it has already the or installed already the web server. So, but you can do that if you want to add another security like SSL and blah 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 and so on and so. But you can also do that on the NTOP without installing the separate web server.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Yeah, the black one.
I want to know what's the requirements. As we talked earlier, you said that the flows that your network has, it has 20K plus something.
Yeah.
What's the utilization for that kind of flows?
You mean the limitation?
The utilization for the CPU and the RAM for, because I was thinking
the
of building the server.
Specific requirement.
So the specific requirements.
Just a little bit. It's not that you need a really high-end.
The
server
specific, what do you mean? Do I need a Xeon or something, a Celeron?
Yes, you can use that.
Or
also.
size, the specific size, I mean.
Specific. You want specific, huh? Yeah, we can talk later for the specific. But it's not that you need to have a very high-end server that you're going to install the NTOP. It's not that high requirement. Yeah, we don't need that high requirement stuff. Yeah. Sir, in the red. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to ask about version, but sure we are understood about version, the difference between version 4, version 5 and version 9. But do you have a Windows version?
What?
Windows version. I think the application is installable on Unix based, or am I right?
Yeah.
So do you have a Windows version?
Windows version. I think yes. But I haven't checked it yet because we're using the Linux version. But if you want to have some information, sir, you can go farther here in their website. If they have they will support the Windows. Yeah. I don't want to feed you guys with the wrong information. So, yeah. And I think the Marco Polo have a decent connection. Yeah, you can just check it out. Yeah, that's it. But it's not that hard to install it to the Linux. Yeah, because most of the people are afraid to install it to the Linux because it's hard to configure, but it's not that hard. Especially we already give you the path, the exact file where you need to configure to do something, you know, configuration stuff, something like that, and so on and so forth. Yeah, yeah, the blue boy again.
This slide will be available offline?
Yeah, I think
Or online?
it will. Yeah, it will available at the mom. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thanks, sir.
It will available. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir. In the polo shirt.
What's the difference between free and pro version?
Such a great question. Yeah. The community version only collect up to 25,000 flows. So, for example, if you have a bigger network, which is generated a lot of flows, I think you need to go to the Pro edition. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh, muramag. But I think it's not that expensive. Yeah, rather than buying all the, yeah. But you know, that's it. So, any question? We only have 26. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. The next presentation will be by Dan Santillán. And for those who want, we have some spare t-shirts left. So when you have time, you can come to our desk and get some. I will go and find out the next presenter.
Adjust the resolution. Whoa. Malabo ba? Malabo, ano?
Ready?